In this episode, I'm sharing 13 things that I wish somebody had freaking already told me before I got myself into this whole online business thing, and I hope that you find them helpful. Hey, it's Jess, and you're listening to the Crush It with Confidence podcast for online service providers that are ready to create their own future. Life is happening for you, not to you. So let's do this. So today I want to share some of the things I wish I had known or understood way earlier in my business journey. And I hope that you find these tips helpful. I have 13 of them that I could think of straight out of my mind. We may end up with a part 2 to this episode because I every once in a while run into something when I'm like, oh, I wish I had known this was going to happen and I could have kind of prepared for it. So these tips might seem a little bit random, but I wish someone had put these down for me at some point. So let's just go into every single one of them. So tip number 1 is that running your own business is a roller coaster of emotions. So when I got into this, I had obviously been in a job for a long time, and while there were certainly like good days and not so amazing days, I haven't had quite as many emotional ups and downs as a result of going to work every day that I've had running my business. And even if you don't tend to respond very emotionally to different things happening to you, just be aware that there's good times and bad times, and sometimes they can come faster than you can count. So 1 hour you will be so happy about the work that you just put in, the project that you just sent off, and then the next hour you open an email from PayPal and this grumpy client from last month has put in a dispute with their credit card provider for work that you've already done, that you already got paid for, and now she's going to try and get that money back off of you and you will have worked for free. So these things can happen so quickly back to back to back, and if this is happening to you right now and you're thinking, oh my god, like, is this just me? No, it's not. This is all perfectly normal and we all go through it. So what becomes really important is a point I'm going to get to a little bit later, but it's about finding a way or a process to deal with these things happening so that you can kind of like balance the whole experience out a little bit. So I wish I had for sure known how many ups and downs there would be before I got into it. Okay, tip number 2, the people that you surround yourself with are absolutely crucial. So if you spend ages hanging out with people that don't understand what you're doing, don't encourage you to dream bigger and to make those things happening, then it's going to have a negative impact on how much you actually achieve. So it's super important that you surround yourself with people that are not just on the same journey as you, but also people that are like a tiny bit more ahead of you, because A, they're going to see things coming your way before it's even happening to you, and B, you're going to see them as a role model, something that is achievable for you too. They're going to encourage you to go after those dreams. They're going to encourage you to work on yourself. They're going to help you to call your own bullshit as and when it needs to happen. So these people are super important. And I think that was one of my main reasons for why I created the club, because I feel like there are so many service providers that are in a place where they don't have other service providers to talk to, because everyone is so focused on this whole competition thing. Competition is actually a point I'll cover a little bit later in more detail, but having this community of people that understands the journey that you're on, that is experiencing exactly the same thing that you're experiencing right now, or with people that have already worked through it and have gone to the next stage beyond that, is absolutely invaluable. It's made a huge difference to me when I stopped hanging out with people that were just complaining and they weren't achieving anything. And I actually set my mind onto only connecting with people that bring the encouragement, that bring the positivity. Of course, everyone has their bad days and you can bring your bad days, but bringing your bad day is followed by finding a solution and taking some action. And that's what's really important. So yeah, be very careful who you spend most of your time with. Tip number 3 is don't underestimate the powers of mentors. So when I started out, I knew that the best thing I could do is learn from somebody that's already done it, rather than trying to constantly reinvent the wheel myself, having to solve these problems. And fortunately and unfortunately, I guess, I worked with someone that didn't really experience the service-based industry. So there were things and issues that I was running into where the advice that I got wasn't always actually very relevant to what exactly I was trying to achieve. So I would say try and work with somebody that has a thorough understanding of the industry that you're in. So having been a service provider myself, for example, and still working as a service provider, although probably in a slightly different capacity now, I know what it's like to work to deadlines, to sell your services on an hourly basis. I know that creating packages is not the holy grail of things if it is not working for your business. So I have a completely different viewpoint to somebody that mainly coaches, for example, because the advice that I would give to them would probably be very different to the advice that I would give to particularly new and growing service providers, or those of you that have reached the point where you want to build an agency like I've done. So there are different things for different people, and you have to find the thing that is right for you. Point number 4, you have to find your own path. So as much as you can take advice from other people, and as much as you should take advice from other people, they will never be 100% in your situation. So what's super important is that you take the advice, you take as little advice as you need to from the right kind of people. Don't get 20 pieces of advice from 20 different people, 19 of whom have never run an online business. That is just a recipe for disaster. Pick 1 or 2 people that you follow, or pick one person for the area of mindset and pick one person to help you to grow your business, and ask them for advice. But then use your brain, assess your own situation. You are capable of making decisions for yourself that work for you, your life, and your business, and you have to carry the consequences of making those decisions. So don't blindly follow advice from other people without considering what would work for you. Yes, you have to get out of your comfort zone. Yes, you have to challenge yourself. But sometimes you get advice that video is the only way to grow your business, and you are terrified of doing videos. So because you have this massive fear that you feel you can't handle what would happen if there was a negative comment, what would happen if, you are not going to be enjoying the process of creating content. So to be honest, instead of creating no content, you'd be better off writing blog posts than you would be to force yourself to do video and then not being able to get over your fears. So there isn't just the one way to get to the goal. And although the person giving you the advice may be 100% spot on by saying video is the best way to connect with your audience, if you feel so uncomfortable that you're not producing anything, it's better that you do something else than to do nothing. Point number 5. Everyone likes to give advice, but it's not necessarily any good. So there's still a lot of crowdsourcing going on when it comes to Facebook groups. We post extremely general posts in Facebook groups asking 3,000 complete strangers for advice. We don't know who these people are, what kind of business they run, if they have had any success with that kind of business, yet we listen to their advice. Goes back to point number 4, you have to find your path, and you have to be very careful who you're getting advice from. So please, if you are asking for advice, make sure you do it in a space like the club, for example, where there's other service providers in the same boat as you, where there's people advising you that have already done what you're trying to do, rather than getting advice from new coaches that coach coaches that have never coached anyone in their entire life and don't have any clients, and you're asking them to help you make important business decisions. That will often lead to an extremely frustrating experience for you and may lead you to turn in circles. Same goes with your mum, your dad, your partner, and everyone else that likes to give advice. As soon as you tell people that you're starting a business, and I I think this episode will actually already be out when this one launches, about telling your friends and family when it comes to running a business. So I think it's going to be episode 6, but don't hold me to it. So I have an episode about telling your friends and family about the fact that you're starting a business. As soon as you tell them that, trust me, they will give you endless advice. Before you ask them for advice, or before you take the advice that was unsolicited that you were kindly given, ask yourself, how much does that person know about my online business? How much does that person know about running a business in general? And weight the unsolicited advice that you got accordingly. Point number 6, I've learned that consistency is way more important than early success. Early success is easily achievable because you have a lot of motivation, particularly when you have a very strong goal like I had. But then things will keep coming up along the way. And what's way more important than getting the early success is that you can consistently show up in your work, that you can consistently show up in your marketing, because otherwise that early success will kind of like fizzle out. And then because you stopped marketing, because people were just appearing automatically, suddenly you've lost your entire grounding. So it is way more important that you consistently show up for people and that you consistently market yourself and speak your truth, than it is to get that early success. I would not be able to rest on that. Point number 7, change how you view competition. So in the beginning, I was absolutely terrified of interacting with other people that did the same thing that I was doing. I was sometimes jealous of their success. I felt terrible if I wasn't having as much success, and I just couldn't figure out what this is all about. And then I realized that the power lies in connecting with people and just being your true self. There's literally nothing wrong with connecting with people who do the same thing that you do. So my agency focuses on tech support as far as virtual assistants goes. And there are hundreds of other virtual assistants out there doing the exact same thing. And heck, in the club, I help other virtual assistants to get started that will then become my direct competition. And you know what? I couldn't care less, because they have something about themselves that I don't have. They will connect with people in a different way. They will learn to share their own story, and that's what's going to resonate with their ideal clients. I am different. My story is different. My experience is different. My passions is different. How I see the big picture is different. And just because we offer the same service, it does not mean that we have the same ideal client in the same niche that will connect with both of us in exactly the same way. So I would encourage you to go for connection over competition always. Point number 8. You are going to end up growing immensely as a human on this planet. This is inevitable if you want your business to become a success. I had the most interesting conversation on Facebook Messenger earlier with a guy called Chris Richards, who's a hypnotherapist and mindset coach. And I actually said to him, and I gave him permission to share that screenshot, but I was like, Chris, I would have never imagined that I end up talking to somebody about what's going on in my brain. I feel like, this whole journey has like rocked my boat, and I've grown so much, and I feel like I have so much more to give, but I'm terrified of stepping into it because I have to put myself out there and put my ideas out there, and people are going to judge me, and what if? And so we had this really interesting conversation, because you don't realize, but if you want to run a successful business, you can't keep doing things in the same way that you've always done it. You're going to hit some kind of glass ceiling at some point, and then there's going to be something holding you back. It could be your mindset when it comes to money. It could be the fact that you're self-sabotaging like I was and still do. And it could be the fact that you feel like you're never good enough, that you're not deserving of the things that are coming your way, so therefore you take all sorts of weird actions. You're going to end up growing in your communication with other people. You're going to end up growing in your relationships. So be prepared for that growth to come your way, and make those people, your loved ones around you, make them aware of how much you're growing and encourage them to do the same thing, because otherwise you're going to end up literally butting heads with people when you are growing and showing up and becoming the best version of you that you can be, but other people are kind of like not catching up with you. So catch them up right now. Put them up to speed on what you expect in their mindset. There was a post I really resonated with in one of the members groups that I'm in, and the lady that posted shared that sometimes when she comes home, when her husband comes home from work, all she gets is the kind of nagging about how horrible his day was, and there's just all this negativity, and she's really struggling to stay in a positive mindset when a lot of negativity comes her way. And I could so associate with that. So try and put this effort in really, really, really early, and hire somebody else to work with you in your personal relationships if need be, because be prepared, this growth is coming. If the growth is not coming and you don't look deep inside yourself, then your business will also not grow to the extent where it could. So just be aware of that. I wish somebody had spoken honestly to me about how much I would change, because I would have taken a lot of precautions way, way, way earlier. But that didn't happen. Life lessons learned, right? But now we have to be sure that we are actually solidly learning those lessons and not repeating these things. Number 9, have a plan for when you get sick. So I wasn't intending to fall pregnant at the time when I did. It was the month after I'd quit my full-time job. Boom, pregnant. The month after I started feeling sick, dizzy, I had to cancel client work that had been pre-scheduled, and I had to refund all the deposits that I'd taken, and I nearly lost everything at that point. So it was almost 6 weeks of being unable to look at a computer without literally having my head spin and needing to throw up. I had no backup plan. I had no savings because of the way I was pushing. And I had no solid team at that point that I could outsource everything to. So it became very, very, very difficult. So have a backup plan, either in the form of savings or in the way of other people that can support you if something was to happen. You may want to take a holiday eventually. So you're going to need to have some kind of contingency plan for when you're away. So think about that now rather than waiting for shit to hit the fan. Point number 10, as soon as you lose the goal, you lose sight of the goal, you will lose momentum. So I had a huge amount of momentum when I started the business because I wanted to quit my job so badly that I would have literally done anything to get to the goal. But the thing is, once I'd quit my job, I had to refocus on what I wanted. I was then pushing because I was obviously newly pregnant, and I knew that my business had to work out and I had to build an agency, and I had 9 months to do it or be completely screwed basically financially. So I did it. But then I was like, okay, now what? Like, it's all worked out just fine. And slowly my goal and my vision started fading. And with that, my momentum slowed down a huge amount. And it's only been these last 3-4 months that I've been able to recenter on what I actually want out of life, what that means for me, how that looks every single day, visualizing that every morning and every night, and then going for it again. So don't ever underestimate the power of a strong vision and a really, really, really focused goal, because without the goals, you have nothing to work towards, and therefore the momentum will drop. So be very prepared to keep working on that side of things. Point number 11, start getting really, really, really good at understanding people. There's a book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it is really hot here today and really stuffy, and I feel like I've lost the last of my brain cells, so I can't remember who wrote it. How to Win Friends and Influence People. And one of the main points of the book is that unless you understand the person that's standing opposite you or sitting opposite you on video call, unless you understand their exact motivation for why they do things, why they say the things that they say, it's going to be really difficult to influence them. If you're planning to launch a passive income product, and although you know your ideal client, if you don't know them at that fundamental level, it is going to be very difficult for you to sell the thing that you're selling, whether it's a service or a product. So you have to truly understand, why is that person saying this? And this is also going to help you immensely in your personal relationships. lead with empathy, hear what they're saying, really feel it, and then think about why they're saying the things to you that they're saying to you. So I wish I had spent way more time way earlier understanding relationships between humans. Because even if you're going into things like building sales funnels, you have to truly understand the customer. Why would they buy this right now? What is their problem, their pain points? What is your solution? And how can you best sell it to them? Point number 12, understand yourself even deeper than you understand other people. We keep talking about mindset. I just released an interview not long ago with Lucy Smith on mindset tools and morning routines. So if you haven't listened to that, I think it's episode 4, but yet again, please don't hold me to it. I think it's called Why Being Selfish is Not Actually Selfish. And this was a really nice interview. And we talked about all of those mindset things that we keep mentioning, but the thing that I didn't understand was how important it was to understand myself, to understand the things that I'm really good at, and to understand the things that I struggle with, and then work with other people that really help you to stay accountable to what you said you were going to do. So for example, my struggle is consistency. I love to see the big picture. I love the planning, but when it comes to the tiny details and implementing every single piece of it, I have to get help. I need my team to help me to pick up those pieces that I absolutely suck at doing, because I literally find it soul crushing to do that kind of work, and it makes me feel really unmotivated. And once I'm in a bad mood, my struggle is to get back out of it. So this is what I'm working on personally right now, is to really bounce back quickly, or more quickly, after negative experiences. So understand other people, but understand yourself even more than you understand them, and invest that time, and understand that this is a really good investment of your time. And then lastly, point number 13, you will hit the glass ceiling, and unless you work on yourself, you will keep being stuck there. So please don't underestimate this importance of working on yourself at the deepest level that you can, and surrounding yourself with other people that encourage you to do this work and that support you even through the painful sides of it. If you've experienced any kind of trauma or stress in the past, and you've adapted certain behaviors as a result of that experience, then unless you uncover those behaviors and you work on seeing those a little bit differently, and sometimes you need to work with a professional on that, and that's perfectly fine. So unless you work on those, you will hit that glass ceiling and you will keep getting stuck. So the reasons why we get stuck there probably vary for everyone, but the solution is actually the same. You have to go out there and you have to tackle those. Okay, so those were my 13 random tips. I would have really liked to know about a lot more of these way earlier, so I thought I would share them. And like I said, if I come up with more of these as I work, or as I answer your questions in Facebook messages and on YouTube comments and all those good places, I might do another part 2 of this episode if I come up with more things that things I wish somebody told me. If you want to take your business to the next level and get the support that you need by the right people as you're growing this business of yours, then we'd love to invite you to come and join our membership community. It's called the Crush It Club, and we have monthly content to help you to grow your business, weekly office hours where we go live to answer your questions. We have a supportive community. We create lots of content to help you even beyond the things that we promise every month, because we really want to see your businesses grow, and we want you to experience that success that you're working so hard towards. So if you want to know more about everything that's included in the club, then head to crushitwithconfidence.com/club, and we would love to have you join us.